In a previous video, we reviewed how Russian treats these and this as very different things, so much so that we have different words for them. We can use ходить for motion in more than one direction, or round trips, and идти for motion in one general direction. We'll use these when you're going on foot or often just within a town. We talked about using the future of ходить to talk about repeated round trips in the future. Я буду ходить в Эрмитаж каждую неделю. And we saw how you can use the present tense of идти to talk about future plans, and how we use the future of the perfective пойти to talk about a single trip in the future. And what about when you're not going on foot? We'll make these same distinctions for motion with a vehicle. Ездить for motion in more than one direction, and ехать or поехать for motion in one general direction. For example, я буду ездить в Москву каждую неделю. Note that here we're talking about multiple, repeated round trips. We're going to go there every week. Unlike in the past tense, where ездить can refer to multiple trips or a single round trip, future forms like буду ездить are only used for multiple trips in the future. So what about a single trip in the future? Я думаю, что она поедет в Омск. Here we're talking about just one trip with no thought at all about whether she'll return or go anywhere else. All we're saying is that she'll set off for Omsk. Поехать is perfective, so when we conjugate it, it really has future meaning. So поедет here definitely means will go. And just as we sometimes use the present of идти with future meaning, we can also use the present tense of ехать when talking about planned trips in the future. Завтра мы едем в Сибирь. We could also use поедем here. There is some overlap. Just as in English, we could say, tomorrow we're going to Siberia, or tomorrow we'll go to Siberia. Now, could we use ездим or будем ездить in this sentence? Well, keep in mind that just like ходить, ездить in the present and future refers to repeated round trips, so it really wouldn't make sense in this context. We also saw in a previous video that sometimes the focus isn't on the destination, but rather on describing the action in progress. And the future of the imperfective ехать can be used in this way. I'll put a few examples in context up here. Pause the video if you'd like to take a closer look, and note that neither of these examples even mentions a destination. This is probably a less common context, so at the beginning stages, I'd recommend that you remember to use the present of ехать to talk about your plans, and the perfective future of поехать is also usually fine. Avoid using буду ездить, etc., unless you're really talking about repeated round trips in the future. Summing up, the future of поехать expresses a single trip in the future. The present of imperfective ехать is also pretty common for talking about your plans. The future of ездить is also possible, but it's best to use that only when you're talking about repeated round trips in the future.